We are going to pick up Maseches Sanhedrin Daf Beis. Mirz Hashem, we're going to go to the bottom of Daled Amud Beis. Today's shir is being learned Leila Nishmas, Meshur's mother, Isha Chashuva Tova Bas Menachem Mendel HaKoyin. Yard site is today. Okay, let's jump right into the Mishnah. The Mishnah is quite extensive. The Mishnayos, it's split up into 7 Mishnayos. However, in the Gemara, it's one long Mishnah, and we're going to discuss this at length throughout the Maseches, so we're going to go on a quicker pace, the Mishnayos. And the Gemara, Mirz Hashem, throughout the Masechta, we're going to break up every single chelik of the Mishnah. Now we're going to see, Mirz Hashem, it's going to be around 21 different halachas in our Mishnah. Dinim and Mainos Bishleisha. The Gemara is going to explain exactly why it says Dinim and Mainos, we're understanding if it's separate or not, regarding Mammon. Gzelos, whether it's Gzelos, if you're Kaifer Bekadenu, you steal, or Chavolos, if you hurt somebody, Yechayev, Hey Dvarim, Nezek Tzar, Ripa, Sheves, Mebaishes. Bishleisha. What's Shleisha? You need to have a minimum of 3 dayanim. Nezek, Bechetzi Nezek, Teshlume Kefo. We all know Kefo, if a gun gets stolen, Teshlume, Arba V'chamisha, if a person shechs or sells an animal, the halach is he's chayiv, dalad, v'hei, depending on the animal. Bishleisha. Also need Gimel dayanim. Ha'oines, someone who's manis a girl, v'amefate, even seduces her, v'amitzi shemra, Bishleisha, Diver, Meir, according to the streets of Meir, needs 3 dayanim. You need 23 dayanim. Why? Since there's over there, we're handing capital punishment by Mitzvah Shemra, she would get Misa, therefore you need 23 dayanim. Makos, regarding a Malkus, when a person's over for something, Bishleisha, Mishum Mishmol Amru, Be'esrim Bishleisha. Ibra Chaydish. Now in those months, today we have the lunar and the solar cycle. We all know we go bust of the lunar. We have no choice that we can't do a 29.5 day month. So we have to do 20 every month. Is different, 29, 30, depending on the month. It's called Ibra Chaydish Bishleisha. Ibra Hashana. However, it's the same zach that every 12 months you have no choice but to continue doing eventually another month, because it's only 354 days. Eventually you're going to get to a point where Sukkot is smack in the middle of the winter, etc. So we do an Ibra year every few years. Adar Beis, like we all know. Ibra Hashana is Bishleisha, Diver and Meir. Reb Shimon Gamliel Aimer Bishleisha Maschilin. Regarding, we're going to talk about this at length, that we start handling with 3 dayanim. That's where we accept the first read. Ubechamisha Naisim, like the back and forth, the dialogues to Mamish go through is going to be with 5 dayanim. Ve'goimrim, we paskin b'shiva. However, v'gomru b'gimel, even with 3 dayanim, the halacha is mubarak. Let's go weiter on the 14th halacha. Smicha skeinim is when we're talking about Rachmana Litzlan, Bezdin, paskin for a tzibur. Let's say, I think the case could be an Erev. The Erev is up. We thought always the Erev is kosher. L'maisa doing Averis every single Shabbos to hold start tzibur. You have to bring carbon tzibur, and the skeinim are saimich against all their might, just like a regular smicha by a typical carbon. Varifas egel, which is the egel arufa. We know when you find a mace near a city is bishleisha. Divrei Reb Shimon. Have Yehuda Aimer is bechamisha with 5 dayanim. We're going to discuss this at length. Hachalitza, we all know Isha does not want to do Yibum, the Mahalach with the Shul, she spits, v'chulei. V'amiunin, which is the Rabbanan that a brother and the mothers can marry off the girl, but she has to tell a Gdaila to say, I'm not interested in this marriage, is also b'shleisha with 3 dayanim. Natarivai, we all know that the first 3 years is what? The halach is you can't eat it, but the 4th year you have to eat in Yerushalayim, but you could redeem it, take the money by Yerushalayim. So how do you know what the value, how much this Paris is? You go in front of 3 dayanim. Same thing, Maisa Sheni that has to get in Yerushalayim. Shem dam you doing is b'shleisha. Hagdeishois is also b'shleisha, and Erichin and Metalton, and discuss this at length, and we're going to talk about exactly what the Erichin that is in Metalton on a kli, etc. is also b'shleisha. Reb Yehuda Imer Echad Mehen Kayin. One of them needs to be a Kayin. However, Karkois, when a person's, let's say, regarding for Karka, let's say he's doing Hektish, you need 10 people, it's coming from Psukim, 9 and a Kayin. Tisha, the Kayin, the Adam, same thing with the Adam. The Gemara is going to talk about this. How can a person be Mekadesh, etc. Is Kayatzabam 9 and a Kayin. Dine nefashos. Whenever you're handling something that's going to get punished, then we're going to have to kill the person. Whether it's Shreifa, Chenek, Shreif, doesn't make a difference how he's getting killed. We know Shreifa, you pour lead. Chenek, we do a rope, or we do regular skila or hereg. We've had all those cases in such a halacha. You need 23 dayanim. Dine nefashos is be'esrim v'shleisha. We're talking about an animal. The animal gets killed. The person that's getting killed when a person does tashmish with the animals, 23 is no shayla. The chiddush is even the animal needs 23 dayan to kill the animal. That's like it says in the pasuk. Shenemar, we're learning, it says in the pasuk, isha. We're talking about an isha that's boiled with an animal. And Rashi's masber that we're learning from each other, just like what we have with the person that's going to get killed. The isha is 23. Who are they going to have the same halachas by the woman? Shar hanisko. We all know, sure, that kills somebody, you have to kill the shars. Esim shleisha osuf from the psukim shenemar shoy yisako. The gambal of yumas kemisas habaylim kachmisas hashar. Hazev, we all know the zev. You can't really tame it. We learned this in Baba Kama, Lamed Zayin, Lamed Beis, Lamed Chestig. Over there talks about a zev, a wolf, a hari, a lion, hadayva beer, v'hanamer. The bardalis. What is a bardalis? Is over here. It's a shaila. It's a skunk. If you look in Baba Kama, it's interesting. Over there, they teach it maybe like ayina. They're not exactly sure what it is. Over here, I think we teach it a skunk. The hanachash and a snake. Misasan and when it killed be'asim ishleisha. Rabbi Lazar Aimer kol hakoydim la'argum. We're going to see this more a little better. Zacha that he was mekayim a mitzvah. We're going to see that he should have killed Rabbi Kiva Aimer. Misasan be'asim ishleisha. The Gemara is going to handle what Rabbi Kiva is really arguing. The Gemara is really going to come out that we're talking about specifically against the nachash, lafuki, all the other animals that we mentioned. Ain't done it. A person we don't handle lois hashevet. Regarding when Rav the Shevet is Ovid Avodah Zara, Veloyas Navi Shaker, we have to kill him Bechenek. Veloyas HaKoyin Gadol, when he does a chit, he's going to get killed. Ela Pi Bezdin Shel Shivin Ve'echad, needs 71 dayanim. Ve'in Matzin LeMachamas Rishos, every Machamas is considered Machamas Rishos. Kol Machama Kari Rishos, except Dr. Rashi Levad Machamas Yeshua. Okay, Ela Pi Bezdin Shel Shivin Ve'echad. Ein Masifin ala ir. Ir is the kedusha Yerushalayim to be able to eat. You want to be Masifit. Valazaretz, which even you're able to eat the kachik. Ela pi bezdin shel shiv ve'echad. Ein oisin Sanhedrius l'shvatim. You want to make small Sanhedrins at 23. Ela pi bezdin shel shiv ve'echad. You need 71. Ein oisin erni dachas. Erni dachas. When Rav the city is over the zar, what do? We kill the entire city. Not only that, we burn the entire city. Ein oisin erni dachas al pi bezdin shel shiv ve'echad. And more than that, regarding halachas of Ernei Dachas, ain't nice Ernei Dachas b'sfar. Rather, we're going to kill it. Very crucial. We're going to kill the people that are with the Zar, but we're not going to burn the city, especially borders of Eretz Yisrael. What's going to happen if you burn the cities? Look what happens with Gaza. If anything, all they're going to do is come closer to Eretz Yisrael and be our enemies. Therefore, the border towns, we don't destroy it, but about you kill the people. Veloy shalosh. You don't also make 3 cities next to each other, burn them. We're going to see this from the Psukim Yad Hashem. Sanhedrin G'dayla Haisa Shel Shivim Ve'echad. The Sanhedrin G'dayla is considered 71. The Ktana, small Sanhedrin, Esim Ishleishim. Now, where do we know that B'chlal the number 71? Minan G'dayla Shel Shivim Ve'echad. Shenamar regarding Moshe Rabbeinu it says, Esvol Li Shivim Mishmah Zikni, so go gather 70. So the Pasuk explicitly says 70. Moshe is Al Gabeim, so it's 71. Rabbi Yehuda argues. Rabbi Yehuda says no, Moshe is not counted. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Shivim. Uminayin the Ktana she shall esim ishleisha shenemar, like regarding it says in the pasuk v'shaftu eida v'etzilo eida. So eida shefetis. We're going to see eida means 10. The Gemara's going to ask. The Mishnah is going to ask in a moment. How do we know it means 10? Eida that judging. 10 is convicting. The eida matzelis. 10 saying acquit. Harei kan esim. So you minimum have 20. Uminayin. How do we know right away eida means 10? Leida shia sarah. Shenemar ad Masai Leida Razais. We all know about the Meraglim. We all know that it says a lashon of Eida. The Meraglim were 12 minus Yeshua v'Kalev, because Yeshua v'Kalev Chas v'Shalom they weren't part of the Meraglim. So you're left with 10. Yotzi Yeshua v'Kalev uminayin lahavi oich shleisha. So okay, we have 20. How do you get to 23? Mimasha Shenemar says in the pasuk Leisia achri rabim lerois. You don't go after the majority to convict. Shemani, more than that, Shemani, as long as it's majority acquitting, it's good. Why does the pasuk, if you look at the end of the pasuk, it says Acharab Lentois? Why do we need that? We already know that from the beginning of the pasuk. On that the Mishnah says, like Hatiyascha L'Taiva, Hatiyascha L'Ra. What's the chiluk? Hatiyascha L'Taiva, when you want to just acquit, it's good enough a majority of 1. Al Pi Echad. Hatiyascha L'Ra needs at least 2 more Al Pi Shnayim. Therefore you're left with how much? 22. Because you have 10 plus the 2 is 22. The aim bezdin shakel. We all know that a bezdin can never have a split decision. Even today in the Senate, you have the vice president coming in to whenever it's a split. However, bezdin can never make a split decision. Then bezdin shakel. So what do we do? So we clearly see Harei Khan Etzim v'shleisha, on the top of Beis and Beis. V'kama yeh ba'ir, how many people need in a city? V'tiyeh ruler Sanhedrin. We're going to see in order to be right for a Sanhedrin of 23, it needs to be Meh v'Esrim. The Gemara is going to discuss at length how we get to 120 between the doctors, the Dayanim, the scribes. The Gemara is going to go through it very extensively how we got that number. You need to have at least 230. The reason is, Keneged Saras, we know that the minimum of a Sar is, the minimum we could have is 10. 10, if each Sar is 10, if each, let's say it's Sanhedrin, 23 times 10, we have 230. Hashem. Again, this is a very extensive Mishnah. This is basically the entire Parak Aleph of Mishnayos, and we're going to go through these Barichas and Hashem throughout the Gemaras, the Chule of this Parak. For the Gemara, we started off the Mishnah. Dini Mamoinos is Bishleisha. Then it mentions right away Gzelos v'Chavolos Bishleisha. So it broke it up right away. The Gemara, a simple question. Atu Gzelos v'Chavolos lav Dini Mamoinos ninu. What is mammon? Gzeil, a person steals, it's the Spitz taking away money from a person. So why does the Mishnah say, Dinim a minus b'shleisha, and then continue with the sub of saying Gzeilus v'chavolis? So Amr Avavo, Mahin Ktani, Mahin, what is Dinim a minus? Is Dafka Gzeilus v'chavolis? Lafuke what? Lafuke avalaydais v'havois, like regarding disputes. When it comes to loans, we're going to say not. And the Gemara is going to question what's going to be different than typical Gzeilus v'chavolis that we have Shleisha. And the Gemara explains, Utsricha, the itana da'ir itracha dine de mamaynas. If we'll just say in the Mishnah, dine mamaynas b'shleisha, havamina that filoidais v'avois would be what? We're not sure yet. But let's say Shleisha, Tana Gzeilus v'chavolis to tell us not. V'itana just say, the Mishnah should start off, dine Gzeilus v'chavolis b'shleisha. Let's erase the entire word of mamaynas. Dr. Gemara, if you're going to say Gzeilus v'chavolis v'loik tani dine mamaynas, havamina betzim hu'a dine that filoidais v'avois, because that's mammon. So why does the Mishnah say Gzeilus v'chavolis? The Haydik Tani Gzeilus v'chavolis mishum the Iker Gimel. If you even know, where do we know Gimel Dayanim from? If you look in the Torah, the Ksiva, where is it? Gzeilus v'chavolis. It says it really Gzeilus. Ksiva Gzeilus, it says the Ksiva Nikra Balabayis Elohim. We're talking about it at Pekadim, which is Gzeila. I asked you about the Pekadim back, you say, oh, it's gone. So you really stole it, you have to go to a judge, you have to make a shul. So that's how we know that it took, and we have it 3 times. We're going to learn this from Hashem the next daf. The Elohim, 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 3 Dayanim. So chavolos is the same thing. Mali chavav b'guva. What's the difference? Hurting someone physically or taking away his money? Mali chavav b'moinai. So therefore we said Tana mahin dinim b'moinai. What is b'moinai? Dafka gzelos chavolos. Avaladais v'avois loy. So again, so we clearly differentiated that regarding loans we don't say the same halachas as gzelos chavolos. What is the difference? V'lamai ilim, you're going to tell me what? The loy bein and shleisha. That you don't need. By what? By haydais and gzeilus. By haydais, you're not going to need halvais. You're not going to need gimel dayanim. V'amar avavo shnaim shadanu dinim amaynos. Everyone agrees to dayanim. The divrakol ain't dinam din. A bezdin, we all know by Erev Rosh Hashanah, is a minimum of 3. Ella delay being a mumchem. You don't need them to have smicha from Maisha v'chulei. You don't need them to be mumchem. That's the difference. So my kasava, what are we on? I kasava erev parshias kosav kan. What's the shal of erev parshias? You open up the chumash. Where does the bechlal? We have a shvuas maidim and mixas. The question is, if you look in the chumash, shvuas maidim and mixas, it's talking about a person that gave a pekadim. There we throw in the shvuah. So the question is, are we saying that lav dafko by pekadim we have the concept of shvuas maidim and mixas? If anything, a person is meiz. When he did the Gemilas Chasadim, I did you a favor lending you the money, I have no problem being meiz. Meshenke by Alva, we have Shuas Maidim Mixas in that. So the question becomes, is it Erev Parshias or not? Can we bring it and schlep it and say it has nothing to do with the Pikadin? Agav, we mentioned Shuas Maidim Mixas, but we can schlep it somewhere else. That's called Erev Parshias. So the Zaktim Afrektim Manashach. If you hold of that it's Erev Parshias Kosav Khan, then Leiboinam and Mumchem. That's how you're learning by how he does Lavais Dalachas, because you're schlepping it, even though there's nothing Pikadin. Why should I say it's not Mumchem? You should also need Mumchem. Vikasava Ein Erev Parshias Kosav Khan, it's difficult by Pikadin. How does Lavais doesn't have these halachas. Then Shloi Shalom Ali, Mechatesi Bechlani, Gimel Dayanim. And my answer is no. Avad the loyal kasava erev parshas kosav. Ubedin be'etzem halach you need mumchem. Ubedin udelaboinam mumchem. You don't know. You know why you don't need mumchem. V'hai deloy beina mumchem ushum der chanina. What is chanina? Der chanina dvar Torah. Midaraisa echad dinim amaynois ve'echad dinim nefashos bedrisha v'chakira. Drisha v'chakira. We're going to talk about it. We're going to ask them. Today I would easily call it cross-examination. What we do today in courts, when you want to slug up a testimony of a witness, you do cross-examination. That's going to be more or less drishas v'chakiras. And we know that by Dvar Torah, even by Mammon, you need it. Shenemar, when the top of Gimel Amud Aleph, Mishpat echad yiyalachem, says in the pasuk that Mamaynas is like Nefashis, and just like by Nefashis, you have Drisha v'Chakira, who are the Mamam? Umatam Amru, they dinim Mamaynas, you don't need Drisha v'Chakira, like being a Drisha v'Chakira. You know why? Kedei shalai tinol delas b'fnei lovin. Imagine I lend money to somebody, and next thing you know, I got even witnesses to testify about it, to make sure that I'm lending the money. He goes to a bezdin, he hires a terrific cross-examinator, he's going to knock out my Eidim 1, 2, 3, especially we know witnesses, even today, when two people testify about something, it's very normal not to have the exact same testimony. So you hire somebody, we're talking about a lot of money in the line, I'm afraid to lend money, therefore you don't need drishas v'chakirs. They shouldn't have to pay, because we're going to learn this in Yetz Hashem. Regarding Dayanim, the question is, what is the halacha? Dayanim made a mistake, we're human. Do they have to pay for the mistakes or not? So the Gemara says, if you're a mumche, if it's a bezdin mumche, we're going to learn this, he doesn't have to pay. It's Gemara Lamed Gimel, but if it's not a dayan mumche, he does have to pay. So for Gemara, if be'etzem what, you need dayan mumche, they should have the same halachas, they shouldn't have to pay. Gemara answers, kol shekenat tenaya das b'fnei lovin. If I know that the dayanim are not responsible for their mistakes, they have no problem saying, you know what, he's not chayav money. Yachi, for Gemara, we're going back. Tartik tani. If so, if you look at this scenario, you have a problem. The Mishnah is coming out and saying really two zachin. We could really say, what was the kasha earlier? We could say, Dina Mamoinis. You know what the Mishnah should say? Dina Mamoinis b'shleisha edyatis, which is 3 edyatis, and gzelas v'chavolis b'shleisha mumchim. That's the chiluk. Very simple. We should mention like that. Like that, we have an easy answer. V'oid shleisha lomali. If you look in the Mishnah, it clearly says, Dina Mamoinis b'shleisha. The Gzelas Chavolis is also Bishleisha. Why do you need to mention twice? 3, the Rishbam says, Iboila Misni, Dinim Aminit Shehang Gzelas Chavolis, that's Bishleisha. Why are we being repetitive? Therefore, the Gemara says, Alam in Chanami Tartik Tani. Why do you need Gimel? Why Eir Parshus Kosav Khan? However, you know why Hedyot works? Because of Chanina, the Shum the Chanina that we just said, Shaloi Tinel Deles B'fnei Lov. Rav Acha bereid Rav Ika Amar Medaraiso one dayin chad nami kosher shenem, like it says in the pasuk betzedek tishbait demisecha. And the reason why we're chayshish for one dayin in l'shum yesh v'kronis, we're worried what's going to happen. You're going to have a guy opens up a table, says I'm a dayin, and charge people money for it, and nice and easy, and he doesn't even know the halach as well. Frakti Mara, what's the big deal? You have 3 people being yesh v'kronis. Mar answers, he actually the less buchad the gomer. At least out of the 3, one of them will know the basic halachas. They shouldn't have to pay. Mar answers again, kol shekei. Know what's going to happen if there's no responsibility, there's no accountability. Then if ishi yeshur karnis, everyone's going to sit and become dayanim. Frakting mara ma'ika bein Rav Rav Acha b'derav beirei derav. What ika? What's the difference between them? They both hold a ma'isa, doesn't work. You need to have gimel dayanim. Maran says, Ika ben Adam Shmuel, we're going to see this later, regarding Shmuel's going to say, Shnaim shadonu dinein din, it's a good bezdin, Ela shaniku bezdin chotzu, because they didn't listen to the Kana Darabon. So le Rava, the Be'etzim holds what? You need 3 dayanu no matter what, then he has no choice. Let's leave Shmuel by 2. However, what the Rav Acha hold, one good, one works. Rav Acha b'rei devar Ika, Islay, the Shmuel, because Midaraiso, 1 dayin works. Says in the Mishnah, Nezek v'chetzi nezek. That was the numbers 4 and 5. Correct tomorrow. Nezek, hainu chavolos. What's the difference? We know chavolos, part of them is nezek. What's different? Our answer is, you're right. Mishum the kavod lemisti chetzi nezek. So Tananami, nezek shalom. Correct tomorrow. Chetzi nezek is also not chavolos. What's the difference? Our answer is Tana Mamayna. First we started with Mamayna, and then we mentioned Knas. Viktani Knossos. So Fraktamar right away, we know there's a Machlekes and Babakama. What is the purpose of Chetzi Nezek? Is it that Ba'etzem you should be liable completely? However, we have Rachmanas the Torah, and therefore we say, you know what, you get a 50% discount. That's one side, so it's called Moment. Or the other side is Knas. Ba'etzem I should be potter. But since you didn't watch over your animal, you have a Knas of Chetzi Nezek. So then Fraktamar only goes if you're the Mandama Knas. Hanich Lamandama Palganiska Knasa. Elamandama Palganizika Mamayna Maikala Mema. The both Moment. Chetzi Nezek is also Moment. The what? The moment it's not part of the principle. The moment you can't say it's part of the principle. It's pachas min hakeren who v'aydid the kaboy lemistich nezek. Therefore, we mention Tana nami nezek. Zok the Gemara on the top of Gilom based by the 2 dollars. Shleisha minon. How do we know that a bezin needs to be 3? The Tanir Rabbanan, it says, we discussed this in the Psukim. It says regarding V'nikrav balabayis elalahim. It says a person pulls over, right, because he pulls over to the judge. Harekan clearly says echad. Now, if you look in the psukim, it says Hakol Dvar Pesha V'chule Ein Sham Pasuk Ches, which is the following pasuk. It says Ad Elehim Yavei Dvar Shneim Harekan. So far we have 2 dayanim, Harekan Shnayim. And then the last pasuk, which is the fear ice, the pasuk Ches, says Asher Yarshin Elehim Shalim Shnayim L'Rei, which is the 3rd dayan. Harekan Shleisha Divrei Rabbi Yeshia. So that is Shita, Rabbi Yeshia clearly says 3 dayanim. Rabbi Yonasan Amar Omer Rishon Tchila Nema. First thing, V'nikra Balabais Elahim. Where else should you go to? So you can't be Darish Tchilas. Main Darshan Tchilas. So what are you left? We only have 2 dayanim. Ela Ad Elahim Yoved Dvar Shnei Amerikan Echad. Asher Shin Amerikan Shnai. So you only have 2 dayanim. The reason that we know 3 is because V'ain Bezdin Shakol. So Mesipin Land Oid Echad Arei Kan Shleich. So let's say the Machlekes is very easy. But Darshan the Tchila or not. Neima Darshan Tchilas Kamifgi. Rabbi Yeshia the Mar Savar Darshan Tchilas. Therefore you have 3 dayanim. Umar Savar Rabbi Yonasan says Ein Bezdin Shakol. Ein Darshan Tchilas. And Mar says no. Loi the Kula Amal Betzim Ein Darshan Tchilas. So Amal Rabbi Yeshua is going to say, you know how you're learning Elohim this one? In Cain, name a Krav and Nikra Balabais to who Elah Shayfet. Why over here we're using for a lotion of a dying Elohim? Elamai to learn from it. My Elohim Shmami Nolam Minyanim to count it that it needs 3 dayanim. Rabbi Yonasan, Lishna the Almanaka, Kedamri Inchi person says, Man Desli, did he have a problem? Go to Bestin, Likram Lagaba Dayana, and he's not Gairis Elohim more than Shayfet. Frakti Mara. Rabbi Yeshua needs to come from the pasuk to tell us 3. Without the psukim Elohim 3 times, you wouldn't know this. Fraktumar, why does he have to come on to that? Let him have two dayanim in the Torah, and ain't Bezdin Shakul. Rabbi Yeshua less than Bezdin Naita. Why do you have to come on to that? It says in the pasuk, if it clearly says lintais, the what? It says lintais, achiram lahatis. The Torah Amra. The Torah tells you, Bezdin Naita should go, and like that you could have no such thing as a split decision. My answer is Shavalak Rabbi Yehuda. He learns like Yehuda Dama Shivim. Now it's our Mishnah. Ditnan Sanhedrin Daila is what Haisa Shivim Echad. What did Yehuda say? No. Torah says 70, not including Moshe. Yehuda Ima Shivim. So Mar says Amar. That's Rabbi Yehuda. The Shabbos Rabbi Yehuda Sanhedrin Daila. There we know the Chsivi Kroy. However, B'Shar Beidina Mishabbos Lei. Mar says, you're going to tell me there's no difference. Smicha Skenim, which is the next halach in the Mishnah. We're talking about where the Dayanim made a mistake for the ear. Varifas Egla, which you know is Egla Rufa, B'Shleish Divrei Reb Shimon Yehuda. There he says, B'Chamisha. V'Amrina, my time to Yehuda. What shot by Egla Rufa, for example, Yehuda says 5 Dayanim. Says in the pasuk V'Samchu. Samchu is Shnayim. It's plural. Ziknei is Shnayim. So we're with 4. How does he have 5? Vein bez the shakel, masivin lo dechad. See, Yehuda does hold of shakel. Of lintais. Harekan hey. More answers, no, Rabbi Yeshua was more extreme. Rabbi Yeshua was more than Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yeshua different than Rabbi Yehuda. Deal Rabbi Yehuda, dafke helbes anejik daila. Who de lesle, b'shar beidina, isle Rabbi Yeshua, b'shar beidina, nami lesle. What are you going to do, lintais? That also says in the pasuk to do that. Velahai lintais ma'av. Velay mukim law, he's going to tell you, yes. By din and afashos, you have to have a rabbin. Mukim law, bedin afashos, of a bedin and a minus light. For tomorrow, now we have a Mishnah says Shnai Imam Yizaka. 2 say you're potter. V'echla mechayv. Allah is Yizaka. Shnai mechayv. V'echla mechayv. You're chayv. Name it like Rabbi Yeshua, because there you clearly see go based on the majority. My answer is not. Feel the time Rabbi Yeshua. Ma'isel b'kavachayim b'din nefashis. Ma din nefashis dechamir amar achmana zil basaruba. So kol shekain what? Dima minus li kol shekain. Okay, we are going on to Daf Dalet Amar Aleph. We're going to give a quick Hagdama. Today's daf, which is yesterday's daf, Daf Dalet is basically a fundamental machlokes of yesh aim lemesayris or yesh aim lemikra, which is basically telling us when the Torah, we always have in the Torah, it says in the pasuk, if you read the pasuk, if you look at the wording of the Torah can be missing letters. Are you learning from that more? Do we say yesh aim lemesayris, which is mesayris is the text, is the written document? Let's say we're going to see in a moment. Yarshin without a vav is the primary. We should learn different, or since Ish Aim Mikra. If you're listening to Bal Kaira, there's no difference with a vav, without a vav or not. So we're going to see, which is basically going to be the whole entire daf to break it up. We're going to see is 5 rayas. We're going to start off with the daf Rabbi, Rabbanan, Yehuda. We're going to see also Beis Shammai and Reb Shimon and Reb Kiva. We're going to learn 5 different sugyas. Really, we're going to throw in sugyas of Sukkah, Tmei Mesim. We're going to learn about Karbonis a lot. We're going to learn about Tmei Leida, and we have a Yasher Yarshin, which is 5 different concepts. We're going to start on Aleph. It's basically going to be Rayos to Yesh, Aim, Lemikra, and then on Amud Beis, we're going to go through all 5 of those concepts to say Ba'etzim everyone agrees to Yesh, Aim, Lemikra. That's basically the entire Dalid, the entire Daf of Dalid in a clear nutshell. So let's jump right into it. Tana Rabbana, Deinei Mamaynes is B'Shleisha. Rabbi Aimer is B'Chamisha. You need to have 5. Why? Kadeshi Yigmar Adin B'Shleisha. Like that, 3 Dayanim are clearly saying what? The halacha. Frek the Gemara. Atu B'Tlasam Ila Gamadina B'Trei. Even with 2 Dayanim, we have, very nice, there's 3 Dayanim and 2 Paskin Yechayev. So Mar says, no, Hachi Kamar. You need that the Gemar Din should be B'Shleisha. That you need 3 to say the verdict is full. Gemar Din B'Shleisha. Frek the Gemara. We see Chazara Tlasa, Kiksivi is big, but the Mara Dina Ksivi, Frakti Mara. So what happened was, Megadav Baravo, Ravo was very surprised to say such a lacha. Elama'ata, if this is really true. For example, Sanhedrin G'dayla is what? Is 71. So you should need 141, because you should need 70 saying the other way. Elama'ata, Te Sanhedrin G'dayla, Trichamev Abram Echad, They Shigmar Din B'Shivim V'Echad, 71, and then you need an entire 70, which is 141. Sanhedrin G'dayla should be 45, because there's 23 Dayanim. I mean, you need 22, not saying like that, which is 45. The Sanhedrin G'dayla, Trichna Abram Chamisha, They Shigmar Din B'Shleish V'Esr. Ella, no. Asfali Shivim Ish Amar Achmana, Mishasa Sifa is Shivim. The Shafto Eid of Etzilei Nami. Nami Mishas Shvisa Eitzach Nami, we have a Nikra Balabais Elohim, Mishas Kriva Shleisha. So what are you telling me that it's by the Gemara? Elohim time of the Rebbe. You know where Rebbe comes from to say 5? It says as follows. It says Asher Yarshin Elohim. He's learning the Lashon Asher Yarshin. There's no question. The plural is 2. Trey. Now, if you look in the Psukim, we have it 3 times. We find in the pasuk it says V'nikra Balabais Elohim, and then it says in the middle of the pasuk of Ches Elohim, and then the sphere says the pasuk Asher Yarshin Elohim. So the last Elohim is plural. So Nemer Elohim Lamata, V'nemer Elohim Lamala. By Elohim Lamata, if you look in the Torah, it's the last, the Yarsher Yashir. That's 2. V'nemer Elohim Lamata. Ma Lamata means Shnayim. That's clearly. Af Lamala Shnayim. So what are we left off with? We're left with 4. The aim bezin shokol ma'sif and aleim, and then you can never have an equal bezin. So ma'sif and aleim oid echad harei kan chamisha. And what's Rabbanan going to say? Why does Rabbanan not learn from this? Zok b'gmar and Davdalim and Alf Rabbanan yarshion ksiv. If you look in the pasuk in the Torah, if you look at Yarshin, it's missing what? It's missing a vav. So the question is, basically, this is what we're trying to show us. Yesh aim lemikra or yesh aim lemesiris. This is the first one. The Yarshin below vav. Rabbi goes basa the mikra. Rabbana, look at the text. Oh, Zok Rabbana, I looked at the Torah. It's missing a vav. Elamai, you can't learn from it plural lashon. Zok the Gemara, Amr Rabbi Yitzchak, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yechanan, Rabbi, which we discussed. There's going to be 5 different sugyas. We have Rabbi. We're going to have the sugya by Tumas Leder Yehuda ben Royet, sorry. You're going to have the sugya of Beis Shammai regarding how to give the karbonis of the kronis. We're going to have Shitas Reb Shimon regarding the walls of a sukkah, and we're going to see Reb Akiva. Reb Akiva is going to talk about 2 revius dams, is matama oil or not. Kulus virlu. All these 5 Tanoim hold what? Yesh Aim Lemikra. We go how it's pronounced. We don't care that the text in the Torah is different. Rabbi Hadamar, like we just said. The Rabbi looks at Yarsher Yarshi and he doesn't care that it's missing a vav. That's easy. Rabbi Yehuda ben Rayetz the Tanya as follows. Shalu Tamidim is Rabbi Yehuda ben Rayetz. To give out Abdullah, if you look inside the Chumash, regarding this is Mamash beginning of Parshas Tezriah, we all know the numbers of a Zachar and a Nekeva regarding a Tumas Leda. If a Isha gives birth to a Zachar, Tameh 7 days, Tahar 33. And the cave is the other way. It's more extreme. She's Tameh for 14, but she's Tar for how long? 66. So it's double. Now again, it's not so much halacha l'maisa, but we're learning over there. It says in the pasuk, "V'tama shivu'ayim." It says clearly how long is she Tameh for 2 weeks. Maybe if there's no nikudas, you can read it V'tama shivim. Maybe she's Tameh for 70 days, and then she's Tar for 66. So this was the Shiloh. So the answer of Yehuda ben Yaitz, Ekrani maybe it means shivim. So Yachot Yila this nekeva Tmei shivim. Maybe she needs 70 days. She's Tameh. Amar Lahan, look at the whole parsha. How long is she tar for? She's tar for 14, which is double the zachar. Just like tahira is double the zachar, who in the tumah. Amar Lahan, timeh v'timeh zachar v'timeh v'timeh nekeva. Ma'akash shetimeh zachar v'nekeva skeflayim is double. Avkash shetimeh zachar v'nekeva skeflayim. La'achash sheyatzu, so they left. They said, okay, makes sense. Yatzu ma'ach zecharin, who runs after him, Yehuda ben Yaitz, says, no. It doesn't make a difference what I mentioned to you. You know why? Because Shvu'ayim Karinon v'yesh em lemikra. He clearly says yesh em lemikra. So we have a raya that Yehuda writes also holds this. That's number 2. Again, we have 5. Beis Shammai, the Tanan as follows. Beis Shammai oimrim kol hanisanin al mizbeach achitzon shenosnim v'matana achas keeper, which is as follows. Basically, there's the mizbeach hachitzon, which was in the chasser. Now, there you brought the dam hachatos. The dam hachatos was on all dalit corners. However, there was the asham, taidas, zvachim, all those other karbanis. They were brought only twice. You only sprinkled it. It was called what we call a matan, which is basically application of the dam. You did it in two corners, the southwest and the northeast. Not only that, the southwest and the northeast, these 2 corners is called 2 sprinkles, which is really on 4 corners because it's southwest, northeast. That is the halacha. So there's a red line on the mizbeach, and it's on the lower portion that you do the southwest, northeast. However, the carbon chatas is a little different. You do it on 4 corners. On the top, on the corners, the mizbeach had like these little, what we call corners. These are kronis, and you did it on all 4. So the question is, what happens? Lamaisi, you didn't do your complete zrikas. We're going to see this from the psukim. What is the halacha? You ended up, for example, doing only 1 zrika by this carbon asham. You were supposed to do southwest, northeast, both sides. You only did it on the southwest. The halacha is, do you have a kapara or not? So Zok the Gemara, Beis Shammai says, even though you're supposed to do, let's say, for example, a carbon asham, the southwest and northeast, and you only did it on the southwest, you're mechaper. Like it says in the pasuk, Shenamar v'dams v'checha yukabanas, you should pour it. However, by chatos, shtei matanis. You need to have 2 applications. If you have 1, it's not kosher. Is mekaper, is the keeper. What shot? How do you know these halachas? The difference by chat is 2 and 1. My time, the Beis Shammai is as follows. If you look regarding the halachas of kronis and keeper, this is the psukim. And throughout Vayikra, the end of Parak Dalet over there, Mamish knows psukim, Chaf Aleph, it jumps to Lamed, the 3 separate karbanos. One's talking about the nasi, then one's talking about the goat, the keves, and the sheep. And it says as follows. It says in the pasuk, kronis. If you look inside the pasuk, Hare Kan Sheish. Now, if you look in the pasuk in the Chumash, it clearly doesn't say. It says karnis without a vav. So we have karnis. But if you look inside the Chumash, if you look in the Gemara, it puts it with the vav. Hare Kan Sheish. Rabbi Shammai doesn't care that there's no vav. He goes yesh aim lamikra. So he learns every double lashon is 2. So you have 6 times. Arba mitzvah, 4 for mitzvah, because you can do more than 4, and you can do less. So 4 for mitzvah, and the reason why you have 6 minus 4 is 2. There's la'akiv, shtayim la'akiv. Therefore he knows. Beisil ha'imrim no. Karnois is 2, karnois is 3, and karnois is 4. Only the first one has karnois. Now it's interesting that the Rashbam says that by kimsa yachik siv karnois mali. If you open up every single chumash in the shul, we don't have it mali. In our Chamashim, it's clearly chasif. They even bring down by that guy, it says, B'chol chemushim etikunim. I was wondering, because I was doing, by the Daf Yomi yesterday, I had to open Chumash, and I was going nuts. I couldn't find the Vav. And then I see the guy brings down that it's taka, in our Chamashim, it's chaser. However, they had it as mali, so 2, because it's mali. Then the rest are not mali, harei kan arba, so it's tez, we have 4. Gimel mitzvah v'echas la'akiv. So Beis Hillel cares about Mesiris, Beis Shammai cares about Mikra. Fact the Mar ve'emu kula mitzvah. My answer doesn't make sense. You need to have 1 for kapar. Kapar b'chdi la'ashkach. You need to have 1 at least to be mechap. So this is Beis Shammai. We're already up to the 3rd concept, Reb Shimon. Now we all know this halacha l'mashmi sinai that one of the walls of the sukkah doesn't have to be more than a tefach. It's halacha l'mashmi sinai. However, typical walls need to have at least zayin by zayin tefachim, 10 tefachim high. So Zok the Mar Shimon the Tanya, shtayim, it's good enough kil chassan, which is 7 by 7 tefachim, let's say, and the 3rd wall is good enough. Shlishis afilu tefach is halacha l'mashmi sinai. Shimon ha'im no. You need to have 3 different walls. Shalosh kil chasan, v'revius afilu tefach. So what's the machlekes? Ma'akim ifli. Rabban savri yesh aim lemesaris. If you look at the pasuk, it's missing a vav. Therefore, you can't learn out extra walls. Rav Shimon savri yesh aim lemikra. Rabban savri yesh aim lemesaris. If you look inside the chumash, but sukkah, where it talks about the halachas of sukkah, it says clearly in pasuk vav, but sukkahs teshu without a vav. And then it says again, the man yedu derisechem keep a sukkahs hashafti. There it has a vav. Basukais. You have 3 times, and only 1 has a vav. It says, but the end the pasuk vav twice. Sukkahs it says without a vav, and the man yedu derisechem says it with the vav. Hare kan arba. So you have 1, 2, and then you have the extra vav, which is 4. Dal chad kro legufei. You need 1 sukkah for the pasuk, to tell you about sukkah. What are you left with? 3. Pashulu Tlas. Therefore, you're left with 3. So Hilchas, and then comes Halacha Meshimisina to tell us what? Hilchas Agaras L'Shleishis L'Kim Tatefach. Now, one of the 3 walls, it's possible enough to be just a tefach. Reb Shimon that holds you go based on the mikro. We don't care about the Maseches. He learns every sukkah is 2. Sava besukkahs is 6. Harei can't change. If you have 6, do chad krolu gufay. Okay, you need 1 for sure. Pashlu arba, you're left with one of the words of the sukkahs for the tell us about sukkahs. You're left with only 2 sukkahs. 2 times 2 is 4. Pashlu arba also hilchas agarasal ervius v'kim tefach. Therefore, you can have 3 walls, gochaso, and 1 for the tefach. Rebbe Kiva, which is the final one, is as follows. There's a halacha called tumas oil, whether if a mace is covering you like oil, or make it easier. You're in an oil with a mace. The halacha is everything is matame. The Gemara says that dam is considered the nefesh. So there's a shear of dam that's coming from mace can be matame. How much is the shear? The Gemara talks about it is a revius. I'm Gemara and Shabbos. We're not going to get through it, but it needs to have a revius. The question becomes, what happens if you have a revius dam from 2 different mason? Can you add each half a revius and consider it to be matame or not? So let's see. Rabbi Kiva Aimim 9 Lervius Dam Shiyotza Mishnei Mesim Shemitame Ba'il. You know why? Scheiner says in the pasuk. It says Al Kol. We're talking about a Kohen Gadol. Now, Kohen Gadol cannot even be mitame for his own father and mother, like it says in the pasuk. Val Kol Navshois without a vav mace Lo Yavalav Elim Lo Yitama. So Lo Yav Shtei Nefashis. So how we're learning a Kol Navshois. He's learning. We don't care about this missing a vav. Lo Yavai Shtei Nefashis. There's 2 nefashis or vis. V'shir, however, the mace is only a shear of 1 mace. Shir achad. Rabbanon, he says, what do you mean? Yeshem l'masayers, nafshis ksiv without a vav. Therefore, it needs to be from 1 mace. Fraktik Mara. We all know, it says in the pasuk, Leisevashel, the end of Shemais, it's the end of Aliyah, because I always remember when we finished Bakar, it says, Leisevashel gdi b'chalev, Leisevashel gdi b'chalev imay. The question is, Maska Rachabe Yaakov, mi is the lesser Yeshem Lemikra. Everyone holds Yeshem Lemikra. Why? Vatanya, it says Bachalev Ima. Maybe it can mean Yachol B'Chalev. Maybe it means you're now able to cook with the fat. How do you know you're able not to cook with Basar B'Chalev? And that's the Gemara on Dalad on base. Amartu, you have no choice to say Yeshem Lemikra. Otherwise, which is the punchline, how do you know that you're not able to cook Basar B'Chalev? Ella de Kulama Yeshem Lemikra. So now, if you hold, everyone holds with Yeshem Lemikra, we have to take a pause. We just went through 5 different concepts in Shas, and all different 5 concepts, you need an answer. It's not a machlekes. We just broke it down that it's Rabbi Lafuka Rabbanan. Rabbi Yehuda B'Yaretz, we never really said anybody argues. Then we had Beis Shammai Lafuka Beis Hillel. Then you had Reb Shimon. Then you had Reb Kiva. Here we're going to have to say that everyone really agrees. So how are we going to work with the other shittas? The Kula Yeshem Lemikra. The Rabbi Rabbanan B'Hakim Miflagi. Rabbi Savar. You know what? It says in the pasuk at the end, Yarshe Yarshina Lehim. You know, Yarshe Yarshin is going also on the early Diyana Machrini. Rabbanan Savi, no, Dafka, this one is plural. Yarshin the Eich, there it's 2, but the other one's Lamal is only 1, it's not Lashon Rabbin. Okay, so we got off with Rabbi and Rabbanan very easy. V'hai Reb Yehuda and right, and it's also easy. Let's look at Rabbanan. We never said anybody argues. So we're down to 2. We're 3 more to go. Beis Hillel, like we just explained extensively, the machlekes, how many applications could work by achatos? If you look at karnes 3 different times. Here we're going to do something fascinating. They're going to say that Beis Hillel is going to learn it from a different place. Let's see it. The Tanya says in the pasuk, also knows psukim, clearly says regarding the kapara, it says v'chiper olav hakoyim v'nislachloi v'chiper mipnei adin. What's the mipnei adin? The hainu, you needed to say it because otherwise you would have learned something else. What? Let's go through it. V'aloi dinu. Let's make a thing that we're going to show us that you need to have it for a kapara, that it's not ma'akev. Why do we have to say v'chiper to tell us that every application is not ma'akev? Nemar damim lemata v'nemar damim lemala. Let's explain what this means. It says by the chatas ha'oif, which is lamata. There it clearly says, Behiza midam achatas, al kir mizbech, you put it on the wall. And it says, by the chatas behema. So we have nemer dam lamata, and nemer dam lamala. Now, ma damim amur lamata, shenas lamatana achas, it clearly says in the pasuk, if you do one application, it's mechaper. So I'll tell you, avdam amur lamala, shenas lamatana achas, keeper. So we clearly would have that one matana, one application is rika, would work even by karbachatas. Problem is, maybe go a different direction. I can compare it to somewhere else. Where am I going to compare this? Why is Chatas has something fascinating. It's that it's Bechutz and it's Dalet Kronis. However, we're going to find that there's another Chatas that's also Dalet Kronis, but that's Bifnim. That's in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Kohen Gadol, for certain kaparas, he has to bring a Bifnim, and there, by the Kohen Mashiach, there, every application is likuva. So maybe you could compare the 4 kronos compared to the Mizbech HaPnei, or maybe it's b'chutz, so compared to b'chutz, so it does not mean that one is enough. So how do you know which direction to go? Now, madam b'chutz and madam pnei, madam pnei, chisa achas, we know matanas loisa l'klum. Abdam amur b'chutz, chisa achas, matanas loisa l'klum. So which one should we compare it to? Ner lemi daimet, donen chutz b'chutz. Then you'll tell me, let's compare outside to outside. And outside we know that one application is good enough. Ain't that a chutz b'pnei that there you need every single one? Or maybe, no. I klach l'derech zu. Donen chatas v'dalet kronis, mechatas v'dalet kronis. Therefore, the Hainu, since you have a choice, either you could compare it to the Karva Chatas, similar to the Koyins, Chatas and the Befnim. The Par Koy Mashiach, there needs Dalet Kronis and everyone's Ma'akid. So to over here, maybe everyone should be Ma'akid by the Chatas outside. Or maybe since it's Mizbech HaChutz, compared to the Carbon Aisha that's outside, Carbon Asham that's outside. Carbon Asham that's outside is good enough one Zrika. So where do we go to? Tamalaymar. Since it says in the pasuk, v'chiper, mepnei adin to tell us the what? Keeper afa pi shaloi nasan shleisha. And then we have the Torah is very repetitive. We all know the Torah is not repetitive unless to teach us something. It says, keeper again, afa pi shaloi nasan l'shtayim. Keep afa pi shaloi nasan ela achas. So therefore, that's how we know Beis Hillel comes. I said, I'm coming from the keeper part to tell me that one application is good enough by chatos, because I wasn't sure to compare it to Mizbeach HaPnim or compare it to Mizbeach HaChutz. Very geschmack. Something more weiter. Rab Shimon v'Rabbanan b'Hapligi. Let's go to the second concept regarding Sukkah. The what? Rab Shimon Savar Sichacha. The concept of Sukkah is loy ba'ikra. You don't need a pasuk for it. Rabbanan Savri Sichacha ba'ikra. So it's really dependent if you need a pasuk or not. The Hainu of either we're going to say everyone holds Yeshem Lemikra. The question is, do you need the first Sukkah or not? If you need a pasuk or not. V'Akiva of Rabbanan also ba'Hapligi. What's the machlekes? Akiva Savar Nafshos means Tarti Mashra. Rabbanan Savri no. You know what it's talking about? The Kohen Gadol can be metama for any nefashos. Nafshos da'amo from every nefesh for the kula amo. And then nafshos da'amo mashra. Correct, Gemara, is this really true? V'dekula amo, we're saying Yeshem Lemikra. We know by tefillin. Now tefillin Shorosh has 4 compartments. That we know that from Malach Meshvi Sinai. But we're trying to bring a pasuk to show this. V'atanya, the Yad thing is 1, but the Rosh is Dalet. V'atanya says in the pasuk. Also, without a vav. It says in the pasuk, it mentions tefillin 3 times. It says like the taitafais, ukshartem li ois ayadecha, v'aylu taitafais bein anecha. We say this every day. There's without a vav. Then we have a taitafais another time without a vav, and the beginning of dvar, misamtim dvar alavavchem, and then it says in v'ayisel li ois ayadcha. There it says it with the vav, taitafais bein anecha. Harei kan arba, because you count 1, 2, and then the extra vav is 4, 3 and 4. Divrei Rabbi Shmuel. So Rabbi Shmuel says have a bam raya. The tefillin shorosh needs 4. Rabbi Kiva Aima ain't it tzarch. Bichlal don't need this. Why? Because toit bekas beats a lush into place stein, and pas bafrikas osher stein. Therefore no 4. So again, the kasha is on Rabbi Kiva. Here you clearly see that even though it doesn't go Yeshem Lemikra or not, he has to come on to the Lashonis. Where it's different wording, that's not a shiloh. Aval hi, what's our shiloh? We had no choice but to say that everyone holds Yeshem Lemikra because of one problem. Doesn't mean milk or doesn't mean fat. We had no choice. We wanted to say everyone holds Yeshem Lemikra. For other psukim, it's different. Aval hi, chala v'chena, they're both the same thing. They're both the same wording, same letter, same everything. There, we're saying we're going to say Yesh Aim Lemikra. Frak tomorrow, there's halacha that you have to be oily regalim. It says in the pasuk, V'arei, we all know this in the pasuk. It says Shalish Pong Mashana Yera'eh. Either you can read it Yerah or Yerah to be seen. How do you read it? V'arei Yerah or Yera'eh. Dichadani ninu. And we still have machlekes regarding the oily regalim. What's the machlekes over there? Pligi. What happens if someone's blind in one eye? The halach is he's parted from other regalim. Why? Parted in area. Shenam, it says in the pasuk, Yireh or Yera'eh. That what? Kederech. Shabal lirais, kach ba lirais. Ma lirais, the Rebbeinu Shalom is seeing you with 2 eyes. B'shtei einav, af lirais. You need to be seen by 2 eyes, and you need to see 2 eyes. Af lirais b'shtei einav. So there we clearly see, even where it's the same wording, we still have machlekes, so we're back to square one. How do we know this? Sevashel g'di v'chalav imai el amar of achaber davika makra. It says lo sevashel. What's bishul g'di? Derech bishul and chel However, chelev Zokter Shmam ain't a bishul tigon. It's not bishul, it's frying. Therefore, we know like Sevashuk di dafka means chalav and Yetzer Hashem. We're going to pick up the bottom of the down and base Tanu Rabbana.